If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Adeptus Custodes: How to Score Points and Win Games. This video is a guide to scoring points with the Adeptus Custodes. The Adeptus Custodes are an army that is easier to score primary points over secondary points. It all depends on how we build the list or how we use the units in the list. A lot of the 10,000 like to use Psykana units like Witch Seekers and Prosecutors to score secondary points. The Custodes Assassin is a popular choice for secondary scoring. There has been tournament wins with very little Psykana units. The room for error is very small in those lists though. This guide will show us how we can score points with Psykana units and our regular Custodes units as well. First up on how to score points, why take Psykana units? The Anathema Psykana units are the cheapest unit available to the Adeptus Custodes. Prosecutors are currently the cheapest. A 4 model unit is 40 points. Toughness 3, 1 wound with a 3+ save models with a 3+ feel no pain to mortal wounds and psychic damage. The Prosecutors do have a sneaky 2 OC per model. If they are nothing special, why waste the 40 points for a unit? They can do things for 40 points that a unit of 200 points of Custodian Guard can do. Why use a Blade Champion Warden's unit to cleanse or recover assets when a Prosecutor unit can do it for 40 points? Allowing the Blade Champion unit to advance and charge an important target. Prosecutors are great, if not the best cheap option to hold the home objective. No, they can't defend it by themselves every game. When they can, a 40-point unit to farm points all game is a win for me. How about the Witch Seekers? I love the Witch Seeker unit. They do cost a few points more than the Prosecutors. A 4 model unit is 50 points. Even though the points may change, Witch Seekers have always been more expensive than the Prosecutors. They have an actual useful ability with another more situational ability. The ability I take Witch Seekers in my list is the Scout 6 inches ability. Scout 6 inches is a great ability to start gaining points. The ability allows us to move the Witch Seeker unit 6 inches after the first turn roll off. My favorite tactic for the Witch Seeker unit is to scout 6 inches towards an objective or the center of the board. Enemy infiltrator units can block us from doing this. The opponent will not want to infiltrate their units too close in case we do get turn 1 and use those infiltrating units as a charge target to slingshot our models up the board. I would much rather scout my Witch Seeker 6 inches towards the center objective. If I draw established locus or anything that I need to be in the center of the board, I can use the Witch Seekers instead of one of my more expensive Custodes units. Witch Seekers and Prosecutors are really great for doing actions without having to spend a big expensive Custodes unit to do it. The other ability for the Witch Seeker causes a battle shock to one enemy unit hit by their ranged torrent weapon. It is that scout ability we want. They can help set up for early game scoring. A weakness of the Custodes is early game scoring. Witch Seekers can turn that weakness into a strength. Early objective control forces the enemy to get into charge range of our units a turn or two earlier than they wanted. How do we score with our other non-Psykana Custodes units? Go stand on the objectives is the simple answer. Those who have thought they could win games by standing on the objectives, relying on that 2+ with 4+ invulnerable to win the game, will find themselves losing more than winning. Just because we can go take an objective does not mean we should. What is the point of moving a 300+ point Adeptus Custodes unit onto an objective when we know the chances of them being there after the enemy turn is close to 0? Could we instead charge an enemy unit that is near that objective, kill that unit, fall back onto the objective? Now we have the objective with one less enemy unit to counterattack with. Use some smart plays and tactics to make sure we can actually hold on to the objective to get some points from it in our following turn. Most of our infantry has an average 6-inch movement and an OC of 2 along with a 2+ save and a 4+ invulnerable save. They march up the board, grab and hold on to objectives. The Adeptus Custodes are a mid-board control army. Most Adeptus Custodes lists will have a strong primary scoring potential. We can use our more expensive Custodes units to score secondary points. Usually this is done by pre-planning and moving for future secondary draws. We are a slow army, but if we plan for some of these draws, it does help us score them a lot easier. Maybe we haven't drawn behind enemy lines or established locus yet, and we have a unit that is relatively close to the enemy deployment, keep that unit there. Just have it staged ready for if we do draw any of those cards, we can move that unit right into the enemy deployment and score some good points. Secondary scoring, we do have some decent unit options other than our Psykana units. The Venatari make a great attack utility unit with a 10-inch movement combined with fly and infantry. They can rip a unit apart, use that Venatari unit to fly in for some behind enemy lines. 2 model Alaris units are another great example of a non-Psykana secondary scoring unit. Start the game in reserves, Deep Strike to do an action, and then Golden Light back into reserves to do it all over again. The 2 model Alaris units are perfect for that example of drawing behind enemy lines and established locusts. It is only 2 units, so the unit footprint is quite small. It will be a lot easier to find a place to drop this unit down with Deep Strike and score some big secondary points with behind enemy lines and established locusts, or even recover assets or anything like that, that doing an action in the enemy deployment will get us a lot more points. Next up, I have a few tips and tricks for scoring points and winning games with the Adeptus Custodes. Our first tip is points win games. Another simple statement that can help win games. Casual games go for the fun, interesting plays. In a more competitive game, to try to make a charge into an unimportant enemy unit or pass on glory to complete a cleanse action instead for points. The right answer is almost always points, instead of only trying to table the opponent. When we move our units in the movement phase, try to look to where we can move our units to score points instead of just killing stuff. We can only score a maximum of 50 primary points. Without a plan to score secondary points, it will be hard to win games by only scoring primary points. That is why Psykana units planning on our movement turn to score secondary points or for upcoming draws is so important. We can score a maximum of 15 primary points a turn until we hit 50 points. It means we do not need full primary score every turn. Sometimes it is better to let the opponent take the objectives early and then charge them in the next turn. Another great type of unit for scoring points for the Adeptus Custodes are lone operatives. Imperial Assassins are the main and most detachments the only way to bring a lone operative in a Custodes list. The Lines of the Emperor has an enhancement that can give a Custodes character model the lone operative ability. They can't be targeted by ranged attacks unless they are within 12 inches. It also gives that character the stealth ability. Lone op units are better against shooting armies. Fast melee armies do not care that they can't shoot the lone op outside of 12 inches. They're just going to run in, charge it, and chop it up. The Custodes Assassin has the uppy downy ability, along with Deep Strike, fights first, and the lone op ability. She is the best Imperial Assassin lone op unit for the Adeptus Custodes. Her uppy downy ability, at the end of the opponent's fight phase, we can put her into strategic reserves. In our following turn, we can Deep Strike her back onto the board. A great unit for scoring secondaries. The last tip for this video is know your opponent. Knowing which units can kill Custodes with their shooting or melee is important. All of these and more can be answered by knowing your opponent. Can we move out and grab an objective or board control without being destroyed right away? Are my Warden units in danger? Should I use that 4+ Funeral Pain now? Can I kill their important units with 1 activation of a Custodes unit, or do I need 2 units or 2 activations? Does the enemy have mortal wounds damage potential, and what can I do to mitigate those mortal wounds? These questions and many more to help score points and win games can be answered by knowing your opponent and knowing your Custodes army well. I want to finish the video with some final thoughts. I hope this video can help those Custodes players that are having a hard time scoring points. Follow some of these tips to improve your game. You will start to notice you're scoring more overall points. Including a Psykana unit or 2 is almost a must for most of my list. They are a cheap chaff option, one of the very few that we have. Do you have any tips and tricks for scoring with the Adeptus Custodes? Throw it down in the comments below. Subscribe for battle reports, list videos, and other Warhammer 40K content. Channel members gain early access to videos and access to the channel Discord. Like always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.